All right, Nick. We're talking about Street Fighter.
We are?
Yeah, Street Fighter 3 Online Edition.
Okay, I hope I don't get any, death threats this time around. Okay. There are no fatalities in this, so I should be okay.
You wake up with the bloody Sub-Zero head in your bed. Oh! Anyway, welcome, folks, to the Loading Bar. This is Professor Jeff, and I'm joined today by Nick Hodges, the party starter.
Hello.
And Tyler, a.k.a. Bubbles.
Hey, guys.
You know, it's funny, Tyler. I've just been watching The Wire over again. Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't think I have, actually.
It's an HBO crime drama, and there's this one kind of central character to it that's this horrible junkie. For all the season, his name is Bubbles. I just get this image of the character from The Wire whenever you talk. But
Is he tough looking?
No. He looks like he's been doing speed for like 20 years, just real no teeth, all messed up. Anyway,
yeah.
Well, let's just talk about Street Fighter for now. Let's leave The Wire out of this. So week before last, Street Fighter 3 Online Edition came out for the PlayStation 3 as the first game in the PlayStation Play group of games. And
it wasn't a PlayStation Network. It wasn't like a main release, was it?
No, just PSN. It actually came out for the Xbox 360 as well the same week. This is, at least from what I could see, pretty much the definitive version of Street Fighter 3.
Is this a brand new version, or is it like just a revamped older version with, I don't know, just for the PlayStation Network?
They took the code from the original Street Fighter 3 Third Strike and then basically pulled the assets from it, hooked it up, and have added a pretty fair amount to it. I mean, most the gameplay, the actual fighting, is pretty much arcade perfect. I can't say that I'm the biggest expert in the world on Street Fighter 3, but I mean, it seems to be exactly the way that I remember playing Street Fighter 3 in the arcade, and exactly the same way that I remembered it when they came out with the PS2 Street Fighter collection. I don't know. What do you guys think? Did you guys notice anything different about just the overall gameplay of Street Fighter 3?
Well, I can't say anything because I didn't really play on the Street Fighter. I played Mortal Kombat, believe it or not. But Tyler, you were a fan of Street Fighter, right?
Yeah, I was a big fan. It was one of the games I played the most in my childhood, actually. That and Super Mario on the SNES. That's a Super Nintendo for Nick because he's
Shut up, man! They didn't need to hit part. Okay.
I've got to say, Nick didn't know what a Super Nintendo didn't know what a SNES was before the podcast.
Know what Super Nintendo is. I don't know what just shut up, Tyler. Just carry on.
Well, I think the gameplay is exactly how I remember it, really, and they've introduced some new interesting characters, actually. A few quite similar to the old ones. It was, they've kept a couple of the old favourites in there, like Ryu and Ken.
Okay, so wait a minute. Did you never get a chance to play Street Fighter 3? This is an arcade release back in 1997. I
remember this one vaguely, to be honest, because in 1997 I was, 10 years old, so I didn't spend a lot of time in the arcade. It was, mainly the Street Fighters on the SNES that I played, but I did play Street Fighter 3 quite a few times. But yeah, the SNES was the main console that I was on. Really, too young for the arcades then. Unlike you're getting on a bit.
Well, for anybody that hasn't played it, Street Fighter 3 has always been probably one of my favorite versions of Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2, nobody's going to argue that's a classic or whatever, but I kind of, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, once they started getting past that, hyper, super, mega, ultra version, whatever, kind of petered off a little bit for me. But I always thought that Street Fighter 3 was a great iteration for the franchise because they didn't just attempt to ape what they had done in Street Fighter 2. They brought in the whole tech hit system, which allows you to press towards your opponent at the moment that you're getting hit, and you can basically cancel out anything. So a player with a good enough reflexes, good enough mind for the game could technically cancel out any hit that their opponent is going to throw at them. So, if you're backed into a corner, you got no life left, somebody comes at you with a big combo, you could technically get out of that. And it's funny because this version of Street Fighter 3 actually goes quite a bit further to encourage you to do more than just, there's a lot of these where you can just set the game on medium and kind of just button jam your way through the whole thing. But this one actually encourages you to do those things. But on the side of the screen, they've introduced it's kind of like a mini achievement system where every time you throw a fireball, it tracks it. And when you've thrown 20 fireballs, you get these little points you can use to unlock stuff in the game. And they have easy stuff like win 10 matches in a row or beat arcade mode or do a tech hit or whatever. And then they have harder ones like do a combo of a certain length or finish with a super combo or, tech out of X number of things in a row. And all this adds up to give you an incentive to not just pick Ken or Ryu and sit in the corner fireballing and doing the uppercut. So I think that there's a lot there to kind of get players out of their own particular rut and get them out kind of exploring new stuff, especially new players. How about you guys?
Does every Street Fighter have brand new characters in it? Because I think I played the second Street Fighter game and I wasn't seeing many of the characters I remember in Street Fighter 3.
So some of the characters from Street Fighter 2 are in this game, but they're slightly different. And then a lot of what you're seeing are characters from this particular storyline. But they have a lot of parallels, like some of them play very similar to some of the characters from Street Fighter 2. Some of them play just completely different. But it was kind of part of Capcom's goal to just take the Street Fighter series and move it in a different direction. So as they introduced the new kind of, they integrated the ultra combos directly in there because those were part of Hyper. And then you've got the
parry.
Yeah, the parry system. They had to kind of rejigger how stuff worked in the game. And so what you've got here is the list of the characters from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and there's some of them that kind of play like Ken and Ryu. There are Ken and Ryu and Chun-Li, I think, are the only ones from Street Fighter 2. But that's one of the other things I like about this game is there's a fair amount of characters in there that play very differently from the characters just in Street Fighter 2.
I know. And where was Bison? That's who I was looking for.
That whole thing just wasn't in there. I mean, it was Gil is the main character, the main baddie in this one.
This guy is kind of like a god almost, but he's like half of his face is blue and the other half is red. Yeah. And I don't remember him at all from any of the Street Fighter games.
No, that's Gil. And I mean, to be honest, a lot of what you're going to see in here are not, these characters are not in any other Street Fighter game. I mean, just because, they were looking to make a brand new game. And it's kind of different from the way that you'll see a franchise like Mortal Kombat or Tekken iterate, where they'll keep a lot of the characters, a lot of the favorites from the old game, and then they'll put in a few new characters so that, then you end up with this Marvel versus Capcom, just 60 character, selection screen. Whereas here, I thought Capcom they took kind of a risk by saying, we're going to keep some of the most popular characters, and then we're just going to create new characters because we don't want to make Dalsim again. We don't want to make a fourth version of Guile for this game. We want to make some new guys,
Yeah, but people like, routine things, like with Tekken, well, from what I remember, they would carry on keeping the same old characters, but just keep adding new ones all the time. Rather than unless there's a story. Is there some sort of story like that they just scrap all the old characters apart from say a few and just add new ones in the next game?
There is a story, but I mean, you have to remember that there is a story. I'm not super familiar with it though. I mean, you have to remember that this is back in the old days when. The story to a game was pretty much just a couple of ending screens and maybe a little bio before you start the match. Nothing as in-depth as, say, like the last Mortal Kombat, where there's a narrative going on. But, each of the individual characters has kind of a little backstory, and they have their little ending, just like they do in all the rest of the Street Fighter games. I don't know if they ever went into it as fully as far, the Street Fighter 2 mythology with Bison and his organization, all that stuff is blown up into this kind of crazy thing that you could see in anime and comics and stuff like that. But I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with. I never delved into Street Fighter 3 that hard, so I don't know if they've got all that stuff in the background. I say enough about me though. Nick, Tyler? What did you guys think about the game? I mean, what did you think? Did you like it?
I liked it. I thought the gameplay felt very similar to how it did before, as I mentioned. But I don't know. I'm always a bit skeptical when companies such as Capcom re-release games. I mean, it just seems like a bit of a rehash to me, to be honest. Like, they're just bringing back and polishing up something that, was popular, 10, 15 years ago, but maybe not so much in today's age. I think a lot of the people that weren't really at the age where they could be playing, Street Fighter in the arcade now won't really appreciate the game. So it's really aimed more at the nostalgic market, I would say, absolutely. But overall, I enjoyed it pretty much.
Yeah, it's about 12 quid, I think, on the PSN. Do you think that's worth it, Tyler?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I say, it's aimed at a niche market. Clearly, it's not going to captivate the kids really. So yeah, £12, £13. It would be a great buy. So it's a good bit of fun.
I don't know. I think that there's a fair amount in here that could bring people, people who never got a chance to play Street Fighter 3 for the first time, that they could definitely be brought in by this edition just because it looks, this is probably the best moving pixel art that's ever been done that at least I've ever seen. You've got these giant sprites that all animate really, really well. They look really nice, even in HD, even when you turn off all the filtering and everything, they still look just fantastic. And the gameplay, I've always thought that this version of Street Fighter had something on some of the other, everybody who listens to the website knows I'm not a huge fan of Marvel vs. Capcom. I've always thought that Street Fighter 3 had a more kind of like deliberate pacing to it. So if you're looking for something that's less how fast can you enter in a 6-hit combo type of thing, it has more to do with timing and strategy. I think that this could be, especially for people who have come in with Street Fighter 4, this is a great way to look back at this because it's not going to be as jarring. It's got things in it like trophies and achievements and these little mini achievements, and you can unlock stuff. The soundtrack has been remixed by Simon Bicklund, so it's it sounds a lot more modern, and I think it still holds up. If this had come out today, if this game had just come out, in order to pimp out the release of Street Fighter 5, and it had been like, here's Street Fighter 4 Plus, and it's a 2D version, and it's not 3D, it's just going to be for Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, it's going to cost $10-15. I think it's well worth it. For the amount of stuff that's in there, if you're a fighting game fan, I think it's incredibly worth it.
I have to agree. Definitely. For value for money, absolutely.
Yeah, I would buy it as well, and I'm not. Yeah, I thought it was a good price for PlayStation Network game for £12, or $15. That's a good price there. However, the only thing I would say is I think the stereotype of England really pissed me off. One of the
Dudley, yeah, the boxer.
yeah.
Let's fight like gentlemen. Gutter trash.
Not just that, but when it says there's a level saying England, and I get this title. It says it's the station. It's outside the tube station Knightsbridge. You got Big Ben in the background. You got guys in a horse and carriage up down the street. I'm just like,
this is the bar called the Sherlock Holmes right behind.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's in Baker Street. That this is just reinforcing the fact the stereotype that all Brits still live in Mary Poppins times.
Maybe the zone's just set in the 1800s. I don't know.
No, because there was a car in the background. So,
but wait,
a car and a horse and cart. That's quite impressive, actually.
Yeah, and the fact that we were all dressed up in bowler caps and had pipes and stuff.
Wait, but Nick, come on, man. Street Fighter isn't exactly a franchise that's known for its realistic backgrounds. What about that in Street Fighter 2 where they're fighting in the Air Force base, just two dudes beating the shit out of each other while a bunch of guys sit on an airplane and go, yeah!
Well, would you stop them?
Well,
see, now I could actually imagine that happening in an American naval base, absolutely, or an Air Force base.
You know what they say. The third strike is what counts. You know that you can get it. Don't think that I can knock you out.